Good morning. That was pretty good. Good morning. How are you all today? So, 21st Annual Women's Day Conference. How's that? Now, I'm a little curious. I was walking in this morning with a young lady and she told me this was her third time coming. So let's see. How many of you been here more than once? Wow. Look around. How many of you been here more than 5 times? Holy cow, thank you very much, all of you, for coming today. There's about 350 of you here today. Last night, for the Sunday night event, there was around 75 of you. Did you guys have a good time? Yes. What did you like best? The laughter. How many did you like to dance? Did you learn anything with that dance? No comment. No comment. Until later. So what's going on? Let's see. Happy Mother's Day to all of you. Yesterday was sort of the first time I got to celebrate Mother's Day without my mom. So it was an interesting opportunity to reflect on moms. I mean, it was a great day for me. But to think about a simple word as mom, 3 letters, and how important the role you guys have, and what you do day in and day out is amazing. So for all of your mothers, my hat's off to you and the work you do, because it is work, but I hope it's rewarding. So thank you. Let's see. Is Yvonne in the audience? No, I can wear her nose there and blow her cover. So today you're all going to get a nose because it's all about laughter. So I hope you enjoy your day. She will have book signing at 11:30, and there'll be additional book signings available after the keynote. I happened to see her about 10 years ago talking about humor and how humor heals. But as we all know, humor really is a vehicle to help us in a whole lot of ways. And at the hospital, we use humor a lot to get through stressful situations. Don't we, guys? So it is fun. Let's see. Okay. Can I have a little help here for just a moment? My fearless teammate today is going to pull a name out of the hat. And this is to the folks who registered last night. And the winner is Yvonne Blanchard. You get out there?
Bouchard.
Bouchard? No. Well, anyhow, Yvonne, whenever we find you, I have an envelope for you. Free overnight stay here at the Omni. Maybe we should pull another name. No, that would get me in trouble. And as you guys all know, or some of you know, I can get in trouble all by myself. Another beautiful day at the Mount Wash. I was driving over here and it was raining, but it really doesn't matter. It's always beautiful inside this beautiful building, and it's a great day for all of us to celebrate women. When I think about the day, and you're going to talk about humor and a whole lot of ways to take care of yourselves, I guess I understand why you all come back, because hopefully the subject matter every year continues to get better and continues to help you in what you do every day. Now, see, I didn't write this speech, but I got to follow along, because Yale yells at me if I don't. So today we got to thank Mark Lang and his staff for all the work they did for setting us up here. More importantly, I think, is the sponsors, the vendors, the presenters today. So thank you all very much. And I need to really appreciate the auxiliary, who are our #1 sponsors. Any auxiliarians out there? You think you could stand up? One? So I want to thank you. And if any of you are interested in being auxiliary members, are always looking for new members. How's that? Promotion. So talking about shameless promotions. Has anybody paid attention to what's going on at the hospital lately? Ooh, trick question. So we have changed our name. Now you might all say, what happened to Littleton Regional Hospital? Well, we woke up the other day and found out we're no longer a hospital. We're a lot more than a hospital. 70% of what we do at the hospital is outpatient, not inpatient. Hospitals is an old name to sort of recognize beds and sick people, but that's a small piece of what we do day in and day out. So we have changed our logo, we have changed our name. You'll see it rolling out here shortly. Just to let folks know, we are more than that hospital of years ago. We're about to celebrate, what, 106 years of service to this community? That's a long time for a healthcare system to be in. And we have evolved, and we want people to know that. So stay tuned about all the additional services we will continue to offer the community, and look forward to really understanding who we are as we roll out this new name and new image. So thank you. Let's see. Any of you get our newsletter, electronic newsletter? Any of you want our electronic newsletter, which goes out monthly? Just make sure somebody at the registration desk gets your email address, because every month it goes out. I think it's some great information about health and what's going on at the hospital, and we'd be happy to get you connected. A little more self-promotion. Any of you golfers? Don't be shy, you can raise your hand. No golfers in the audience. All right, so our golf outings in September, if you'd like to. We're going to be playing right here. Check with Gail. It is always a pleasure to be here and to welcome all of you to this event. This is the only event Gail works on all year long, as you guys know, right? Let me tell you though, she gets motivated for this event. This is one of her favorites and certainly one of ours. 350 of you in attendance today, and that is great. So, you got your certificate of attendance, it was in your bag. If you need CEUs, North Country Health Consortium is downstairs and they can help you with that. There are 35 vendors here today, so please take advantage and make sure you see what they brought to the show. Make sure you understand we have health screenings in the Washington boardroom. Reiki and reflexology is in the business center at the conference level for all of you to enjoy. We're going to come back here at noon to have lunch, and that will be followed up by our keynote speaker, Yvonne Conte, and that's all about laughter and humor.
I've left the lights down just because with this many people in the room, it may get warm. Is that okay? Yeah. You see me well enough to find me on the colors here. My name is Lynette Madden. I'm a registered nurse. I'm a licensed massage therapist. I'm certified through the American Council on Exercise as an advanced health and fitness specialist. And I'm also certified in massage therapy in musculoskeletal alignment techniques. So I have a big interest in posture. And today I'm going to be speaking about mind, body, and spirit movement. And on the front, I was originally going to do a PowerPoint presentation, but I thought that if I did that, I would be giving you a bunch of little tiny pictures, and I decided that I would rather just speak with you and give you just 4 pages, well 5 if you count that other little page, but just a few pages with some pictures on them and some key phrases that would help you remember what we're going to talk about today. So what is mind, body, and spirit movement? Well, it's a couple things. Originally, it is the way that I enjoy exercising. It's the way that I enjoy moving. And for many years, when I would put together my own exercise routine, I would use the various types of exercise or movement, and I would combine them with breath work, and I would choose the movement to balance my own body. And then I started to use those movements with my patients because I teach cardiac rehab classes. And then the hospital asked me to offered to let me teach a class, which I'm actually teaching now, so I put those ideas together. But basically what it is moving in a way that helps address your mind, your body, and hopefully raises your spirit. And how it was developed is that I do a lot of musculoskeletal alignment in my massage practice. And I help realign people to help them be more pain-free. And so I started thinking, boy, if you could just have some movement that you could put together that would do in a chair and standing what you do on a massage table, think how much more benefit people could get, because then they could take their massage and what they got, the looseness that they got from their massage, and apply it to their activity and end up keeping the benefits of the massage longer and longer. So some of the things that I've combined and will play with today is the fact that you're in a chair, and it'll be a little crowded, but I think we can make it work. The fact that you're in a chair, and what does a chair do? The chair, we're going to use the chair, and you can use these with any chair you're in. You can use them at work. You can, well, I don't know about a bus. You know, that might be a little strange, but basically anywhere you're sitting, there are some little techniques that you can use to work on your posture. The chair supports your hips, and the chair helps hold the alignment that I use. And I'll show you just an example. If you watch my hips, if I twist, did you see how my hips twisted? Okay. But if I use a chair, and I'll move this in the center when I actually maybe I should do it right now to show you. If I use a chair, the chair's going to hold my hips in place. I can twist. Down. And exhale. Let me show you what's happening to my belly. Inhale. And exhale. Don't worry, it won't stay that way. Inhale. And exhale. Simply by doing that, you kick in your parasympathetic system, your rest and relax system. And I was even letting you breathe a little fast. You can slow that down and think, breathe in 1, and 2, and 3. Exhale, 1.
Pictures from this time, and this is actually, I went to Fresh Salon because even my little stubble that I had started to fall out in little chunks. And so I went down to Fresh Salon in Littleton to Katie, and she did like the flat razor and made it all go away, and it was wonderful. And Katie and Fresh and Parker got me through. And you know, after that, there's not much else that can go on. I'm still missing the tip of my finger, but I don't have my tube, so we're moving along. Third chemo. My husband goes with me to this chemo. Those are shirts that I had made for the Proudy that I did end up selling. We have other shirts too and stuff that all the money goes to North Cotton. I always got freezing during chemotherapy. I was always extremely cold.
Okay, and then for, I realize this isn't the good and the bad, but this is all of it, so.
Yeah, so is it, this is my first conference. Mine too. And it's going really well. It's a lot of people and it's a lot of fun. It's very informative. Empowering.
We just finished Mind, Body, Spirit Movement with Lynette Madden, and it was a lot of fun, and it was movement that you can do while sitting in a chair. So if you have a desk job or if you're on an airplane a lot, I found this would be very helpful in loosening the muscles that stiffen up from being in a seated position.
I found it very informational, and I will use these techniques, and I think everybody should hear about it.
Common disease, and I've been in town for about 2 years. I joined Dr. Rankin at the hospital, and we started our allergy branch of our ENT office, which had never been offered at our hospital for sure, and not very widespread in the North Country. Most people were going to Dartmouth, and so we were able to start up kind of a quality service that helps us deal with sinusitis and one of the second most common causes, which is allergic rhinitis, which is the fancy word for allergy. So we're going to go through, this is very informal, please stop me with questions. We'll have some time at the end for questions. My goal is to define what both sinusitis and allergy are. The proper term really is rhinosinusitis. Rhino meaning nose, sinusitis meaning inflammation of the sinuses. And they don't usually interact separately. The inflammation is usually widespread and it's of the nose and sinuses, leading to pain, pressure, usually nasal discharge. Not supposed to be white, so sorry about that. But sinusitis affects more than 37 to 40 million people a year, making it one of the most common health problems in the United States. There's a proportion of those patients that then lead into chronic sinusitis, which is infection over 12 weeks, and that's a large number a year. Usually those are the people that end up in my office after the primary care physician tries to treat them with antibiotics, and after a couple bouts of truly sinusitis, you really know what a disease it is and how much it can take out of you. Chronic symptoms include the nasal congestion, the facial discomfort, nasal discharge, headache, teeth pain, and fatigue. The two most common is really facial pain and teeth pain. A lot of people come in with migraines or other sources of headache, but those are the two classic findings. Well, there we go. That's what I thought. So now I know. So chronic sinusitis, it actually is more prevalent than heart disease and asthma. So it's a huge problem in this country. It has a greater impact on quality of life than congestive heart failure or even chronic back pain. Symptoms can significantly affect both physically, functionally, and emotionally states of people, throughout their stage of acute and chronic process. Accounts for an estimated 18 to 22 million physician offices a year. It's among the top most 8 common diagnoses. Huge generation of over-the-counter medications, and that's why you go into Walmart and you see one whole aisle dedicated to this stuff. Restricted activity. This is 59 million days a year people report restricted activity from sinusitis. 20 million days in bed, 12 million alone just in lost productivity at work. Costs us about $3.5 billion a year and impacts quality of life and productivity drastically.
So my friend who was complaining about not being able to sleep was going through menopause, and she said, this is awful. Well, the sad news is nobody knows exactly why sleeping difficulties occur during this time. People have tried different things like melatonin, acupuncture, chamomile. I guess the good news in it is some people do respond very well to a short course of hormones. And the other good news is that it's time limited. After a time, you will begin to adjust to better sleeping habits. But what's the bottom line? The bottom line is that whenever you're having trouble sleeping, no matter the reason, these problems really only last for a short period. There's a physician at the University of California, San Diego. His name is Dr. Kripke, and he found that if people have trouble sleeping on a particular night, or maybe for a week's worth of nights, the number of hours you sleep over the course of a year averages out to normal. So even if you're having time for a period over a course of a year, you're going to get a normal amount of sleep. So take the long view. I think we all tend to focus on what just happened in the immediate future, but when you look at the long view, you'll see that your pattern for sleep averages out and becomes normal over a period of time. And you know that positive outlook might just help you wind down and finally get some sleep. Stress. Who hasn't had stress in their life, huh? Well, stress is good. In fact, it's great, okay? If you restrict your highs and your lows in your life, you won't be any healthier. In fact, you'll be bored. And you'll find that the monotony will lead to death. It's the discomfort of stress, which is a good sign, because it shows that you're getting down in the trenches and dealing with life's tough problems. So, good for you. Research has shown that people who have no variability in their heart rate have a higher risk of death from any number of causes, because stress causes your heart rate to go up. So if you have variability in your life and you have a little bit of stress, you have a lower risk of death. But stress can also improve our performance. And we know that for more than 100 years. Two doctors were able to show, Dr. Yerkes and Dudson, were able to show that people work better under stress. But there's also limits. We all know that, right? There's limits to stress. And what they did show is that once stress reaches a certain point, the productivity goes down. But more than productivity, too much stress can affect your health, okay? When you're initially confronted with stress, your immune system is boosted. But the effect is short-lived. And after an hour or so, the opposite effect begins to occur. So that if you develop serious long-term stress, your immune system can plummet as much as 40 to 70% below normal. In fact, too much stress as well has been documented to be an increased risk for heart disease, colds and flus, and believe it or not, even allergies. So what's the mechanism? How does this happen? There's a hormone called cortisol. Our bodies make cortisol. When you're under a lot of stress, cortisol is released, and it provides you with a burst of energy and a burst of protection as well. It suppresses your body's immune response to infections. You know how sometimes we've all gone through periods of stress in our life and it seems like everybody around us doesn't get the flu and you don't? I mean, rather, everyone around you gets the flu, but you don't. It's that cortisol that's protecting you. But over a prolonged period of time, your body develops a tolerance or a resistance to it. It's much like having elevated insulin levels for a long period of time. Insulin regulates your blood sugar. If insulin's too high for too long, the opposite happens and you become diabetic. Cortisol your body develops a tolerance to cortisol. If you're exposed to too much cortisol for too long a period of time, then it has the opposite effect. It's not protective. So there's a new way to think about stress. And maybe if you look at stress as the fear that you don't have the resources to successfully meet your challenges, you'll look at it a different way. I think a lot of us have stress because something happens. People ask us to do something and you immediately think, I don't have enough time, I don't have the money for that, I don't have the talent, I don't have the emotional support for it. The point is that if you want to reduce some of the stress, and if the stress is due to the fact that you think you don't have the resources to meet the challenge, look around, because chances are you probably do have them. One of the ways to deal with it is to just say no. You know, it's really hard for women to just say no. You know, you hear how men never ask for directions. I think you could say the same about women. A lot of women just don't say no. And that's because it's hard. We don't want to disappoint people. So these are some alternatives. that you could do. Like, no, sorry, I can't do it right now. It doesn't get you off the hook entirely, but it gets you off the hook for right now. No, because this one, and let me check with are good ones, because they put the blame on someone else. You know, how many of us have used our spouse? No, because my husband said I have to do this way, right? No, how about you could suggest an alternative? Maybe you really do want to help out, but you don't want to do it that way, but there's another way you want to do it, and it might actually turn out to be better. This is another good one. Can you email me? I don't have my calendar. You know, you can just kind of, the email didn't get to me. You can ignore the email, or sometimes it's easier to say no, but not in person. You know, if you can just reply to the screen and say no and send, you don't have to look at their disappointment. Or you could say, no, I have a policy about I don't bake on Tuesdays. You know, if you just have a policy. So in order to reduce your stress, you have to really understand what you
I had a Reiki session here at the Mount Washington for the Littleton Regional Hospital Women's Health Day, and it was just tremendous. You just feel revitalized. It's a warm feeling. I've had Reiki before, and sometimes there's no touching at all, and sometimes it's just a very slight touch. They go from your head all the way down and just apply heat and energy to different parts of your body. It's tremendous. I'd recommend it for anyone. I'm waiting in line now to have reflexology on the feet, so I'm then heading up for the neck massage, the chair massage upstairs. So by the time I leave here, I am going to be completely happy.
I thought it'd be good to interrupt your eating for a little bit of blessing. You know, now that you know what you're thankful for, right? My name is Reverend Lynn Winter, and it is my privilege to be invited for many, many years by Gail Clark and this event to offer a prayer and a blessing on the occasion of our Whole Health Day for Women. I try and bring something with me, and so I've brought a brief verse from the book of Proverbs that says, "A woman of excellence is clothed with strength and dignity and can laugh at the days to come." And I chose that in particular in honor of your speaker, who you will hear later, and she's going to have a lot more about that. She is also on the record of carrying her father's wisdom with her wherever she goes, and I think all of us, to a certain extent, carry the wisdom that we learn from others, and hopefully the wisdom that you get here today will be wisdom that will inform you and build your strength and add to your dignity. Whether you are from a Christian perspective or a faith perspective or tradition that is different, if you in fact find your strength and dignity somewhere other than formal religions per se, I still invite you all to pause with me as I offer a blessing for all of us and for this day. Let us pray. We do pray that all we have heard and seen and done and presented today will be blessed and blessing. We ask that the wisdom we hear and the wisdom we impart continue to give us strength, not only of heart, but indeed strength even as we received it from the food in which we shared. I pray that all of us will then be prepared for every day to come, to laugh at adversity, knowing that we are comforted and strengthened through our faith and through the service of one another to one another. I pray these things in the name of my God and ask you to affirm with a mighty Amen. Amen. Thank you.
What a delicious meal. And what a great job the Omni did in getting 350 women fed in record-breaking time. I want to thank Mark Lang and all of the staff here for a wonderful job. And so they put us a little bit ahead of schedule, which is fine, because we have nowhere to go until the end of the conference anyway. I hope everyone had a happy Mother's Day yesterday. And I also want to find out who's celebrating a birthday today. Anyone? I know there's one person celebrating a birthday. If you're celebrating a birthday, raise your hand. No birthdays? Absolutely none. Oh, one back there. Well, happy birthday. And where is Sarah? Sarah's probably hiding. Anyway, happy birthday to anyone celebrating a birthday today. We like to host this conference today after Mother's Day, the day after Mother's Day, because we feel that it gives all of you ladies a chance to take care of yourselves, because you're always so busy taking care of everyone else. So this is our treat to you for Mother's Day. I want to take a minute first to thank our event sponsors, because without their donations and support of this event, we might not be able to host it. So I'm just going to run down the list quickly, and if anyone from any of these companies is here in the audience, I would ask that you stand up. LRH Auxiliary, CGI Benefits, and stay standing up. Leaders for Today. There's more than just you two auxiliary, right? Oh, come on. Leaders for Today, AMS Solutions, Health Plans, Inc., Hackett, Valine and McDonald, Union Bank, MRS, Woodsville Guarantee Savings Bank, should be several from Woodsville, Lori Story Manso, Garnet Hill, Baker Newman and Noyes, Coca-Cola, and Advanced Graphics. So would everybody please join me in a round of applause? Thank you all very much for your support. If you presented this morning or will be presenting this afternoon, could you please stand up for a moment as well? So any presenters? Thank you all. Conference evaluations, you should have gotten one in your bag this morning. Please take a moment to fill that out, and you can leave it right on the table or bring it back down to the registration area. These evaluations really do help. They help us to find new topics that you're interested in and just ways to improve the conference. We have raffle prizes that we were fortunate enough to have donated by all of the vendors. So, excuse me, at the end of the conference, there'll be raffle prizes down on the registration desk, and you can just pick those up on your way out. And you can also grab one of the healthy cookies that the hospital provides every year, and they seem to go really fast.
We can look at it.
It's my pleasure to introduce, I feel like I've really gotten to know Yvonne over the past few weeks, but today's keynote, Yvonne Conti. who joins us from Syracuse, New York. Yvonne is a keynote speaker and an author who has attracted clients such as Merck, Mediva Pharmaceutical, Xerox Corporation, and over 700 other leading organizations. Her speaking engagements typically include 60 keynotes in a year at major conferences. Her publishing credits include over 28 articles and essays and 6 books, including one of her latest, Bits of Joy. I'm gonna take another drink. I'm in bad shape up here. She is the proud mother of 2 grown children who have never been arrested, never been on Jerry Springer, and have finally left her basement. Please help me welcome Yvonne Conti.
Thank you so much. Hi, everybody. Are you having a good time so far? Yeah. Awesome. Me too. I'm having a riot. I've taken everything that's free so far. I love free stuff. Free stuff just makes me so happy. I don't know about you. But I'm here to talk with you about the positive power of humor, laughter, and joy. One of my favorite subjects in the whole world. And I start with a statement that says pain is inevitable. It's the suffering part that's optional. And a lot of people listen to that and they say, what are you talking about? If you're in pain, you're pretty much suffering. Where does the option come in? Well, do you know anybody that just loves to suffer? Leave anybody home like that? Or maybe you're sitting next to somebody like that. You know, the kind of person that just can't wait to tell you every stinking thing that went wrong? I have an Aunt Frances like that. Now, Aunt Frances lives in Utica, New York, which is a cross to bear in itself. But Aunt Frances complains about everything. Nothing is ever good or right. You go to visit her, you make the mistake of saying, how are you? She tells you for the rest of the visit. You know, she's only a little short Italian woman, about 4 feet tall, you know, with a nose bigger than her head. And she looks up at me, she says, Yvonne, I think I'm shrinking. Maybe someday you'll just disappear. You know, you have to find a way over, around, and through all those people and situations in your life that try to bring you down when you're doing the best you can to stay positive, motivated, uplifted, and happy. So that's what we're going to talk about a little bit this afternoon. Laughing really matters, and I did a lot of research about laughter and humor and joy, and I found that little kids laugh up to 400 times a day. But by the time we're just 35 years old, it's reduced to 15 chuckles. Well, if laughter and humor is so important to our mental and physical health, we need to figure out how did we get from 400 to 15 and what can we do to get laughing again? And I think I figured it out. What's the first thing you do when you see a baby? Try to get the baby to do what? Sure. I've seen pretty important people pick up a baby and act like a moron. Have you seen that? They pick up a baby and they go, and the baby laughs at them. And they think they did something miraculous. We know that's just gas. But they think they did something amazing by making this baby laugh. And so their reaction teaches the baby that laughter and humor is good. And the kid is 2 and 3 and 4 walking around the house doing cute, wacky, nutty, crazy things. And what do we say? Look at that kid. He's got my personality. God bless him. We continue to reinforce that laughter is a good thing until that same kid becomes 9 years old. Starts to act like a nutball, a wacko, a crazy kid. What do we say? Knock it off! What is wrong with you? That's what my mother used to say. Constantly. She said it so much that the first day of school, the teacher said, stand in front of the class, say your name and a little something about ya. I stood in front of the class, a nervous wreck. I said, my name is Yvonne Conti. There's something wrong with me. Teacher wrote it down on a piece of paper, you know. I took it home, gave it to my mother. She read it. Dear Mrs. Conti, exactly what is wrong with Yvonne? She looked at the paper, hit me in the head and said, what is wrong with you? Telling people. But we erase and suppress that wonderful sense of humor that we're all born with and we become terminally serious adults. And we know who these people are because they're everywhere. They're usually the people in charge. These are people that have a lot of responsibility. They can't be silly or goofy or wacky because, my goodness, they must be respected. We call these people anal retentive. They're walking around all wound up like this, right? Honey, if that is you, bend over, let the panties out, and relax. This is specifically for you. The thing of it is, I want you to understand exactly what it is we're trying to accomplish today. So if you would, pick somebody at your table to be your humor partner for just a moment. Look right at your humor partner and repeat these words with all the enthusiasm you can muster up. Look right at your partner and say, I'm so glad I'm not you. They're high-fiving over there. High five, I'm glad I'm not you. I had you say I'm glad I'm not you for two reasons. The first one is it helps me to see who really needs this program, because most people laugh. These people were high-fiving. Most people laugh, but there's always a few, usually in the back, that go, I'm sorry, she made me say that before I realized. So if that was you, bend over, let the panties out, relax. This is completely for you today. The second reason I had you say I'm so glad I'm not you is because the good Lord only gives us exactly what we can handle in a day. One bit more. And I know that I can handle all that He gives me. And I know that you can handle all that He gives you. Not so sure we can handle each other's stuff, right? And by the way, I'm a Christian girl. It comes out when I speak. I have to be who I am at the podium. You wouldn't want me to be a phony, but I know I have to be politically correct in an arena such as this. So if there's any atheists or anything like that in the room, let me apologize ahead of time and I'll pray for you later. The reason we need to be on top of our game is because 75% of all the conversation in the world today is negative. 75% of the people you talk to in a day are going to give you all their negative stuff, right? And try to bring you down. And I know this is true because I happen to live in central New York where it snows constantly. And 9 months out of the year we're getting snow, right? This year we got a little break, but normally it snows constantly. And the first snowfall of the year, we know what to do. We're strong New Yorkers. We go out, we brush off the car, we start the engine. It's a no-brainer. The guy next door to me, first snowfall of the year, comes out of his house, goes over to his great, big, huge monster truck, brushes off this much space on the windshield, looks over at me and goes, can you believe this? I'm like, well, it's December, kind of expected it. And off he goes. He's as mad as he could be because it snowed just to ruin his day. And this other little thing on the other side of me goes to Syracuse University. She's so happy it's snowing, she's catching snowflakes on her tongue. She goes over to her piece of junk car, she brushes off every little speck of snow, and she says, isn't that great? Just in time for the holiday. I don't like either one of these people. I really don't, they both annoy me. But the thing of it is, I learned something that day. That the same exact thing can happen to 3 different people in exactly the same way, at exactly the same time, and we can have 3 entirely different reactions. This is what life is about, ladies. Things happen to us, all of us. But it's really the choices that we make about how we're going to react to those things that make a difference in how we spend our lives. So that was a great lesson for me to see that the same exact thing happened to 3 people and we had 3 entirely different reactions. Well, because we've got 75% of the world giving us all our negative stuff, we've got to have some ammunition, right? So when people come up to you and they start pouring all their negative stuff on you and you're trying to do all you can to be positive, you look right at them and say, darling, I got something for you. It's called the 80-20 rule. You just remember, 80% of the people you tell your troubles to really don't care. And the other 20% are kind of glad it happened to you. So, keep that in mind, right? Well, Norman Cousins was a UCLA professor. He did a lot of work in this area of laughter and humor and joy and how it affects us, especially how it affects our health. He said how you look has everything to do with how you feel. So why do you want to go driving around looking like your driver's license picture? Everybody's in their car miserable, right? You know, I don't get that. You know, smile once in a while. It'll make you feel better. It's interesting how that happens. In fact, if you would, just look at me with a nasty, hateful, and some of you already are. Look at me, you know, with a real mean look, real grumpy, right? 1, 2, 3. Makes me so mad. Now take a big, deep breath. Give me a big, toothy smile if you still have your teeth. 1, 2, 3. How many people felt a little difference between the frown and the smile? Sure, it feels a little bit different. It's not gonna, you know, cause world peace. It's not gonna cause, you know, cure cancer. It's just gonna make you feel a little better so that you can handle what's going on in your life. Well, Norman Cousins, as I said, did a lot of research about this, and he was in the hospital in excruciating pain. They were giving him morphine every 2 hours to correct his pain. But he found if he laughed really hard from his tummy, just for 10 minutes, he didn't need the morphine and he could go 2 hours. Right now, if you would, hold on to your tummy. If you don't have one, hold on to the person next to you. And just grab that tummy and laugh as hard as you can. Ready? Come on. Oh, I love it. I am so grateful to be able to stand up and speak with you and laugh and be loud. My mother told me to sit down and be quiet my whole life. Isn't it great I make a living standing up and being loud? I love that. So there's a lesson. Don't listen to your mother. No, I'm just kidding. But so he's in the hospital, and he thought, hey, this is a great time for me to kind of test my theories. So he asked everybody to bring anything funny into the room so that he could laugh and test his theory about laughter taking away pain. And so, you know, they brought him Three Stooges movies and, you know, the Marx Brothers movies and jokes and everything, and he laughed and laughed and laughed. Well, the nurse came in and she handed him a cup and she said, it's time for your morning urine sample, and she left the room. He picked up the cup and then he looked at his apple juice. He pours the apple juice into the cup. The nurse comes back in, looks at it and goes, wow, that's a golden color, isn't it? He goes, yeah, you're right. Let's run that through again. She fainted, but he got the laugh he was after. When it was all over, he continued his study about laughter and humor and joy and how it affects us in every area of our life. And he was at the Veterans Hospital out in California. He had 70 cancer patients come into a room like this, and he showed I Love Lucy reruns for 2 hours. And they laughed and laughed and laughed. And he said, how many of you came into this room in pain? 82% raised their hand. After laughing for 2 hours, how many are in pain right now? And not one person could raise their hand. Now, I'm not a medical person. I don't know how that works exactly. I just know that it does. So if you know someone that's in severe pain, whether it's medically, emotionally, financially, whatever it might be, if you can get them to laugh for just a minute, you really do take away a minute of their pain. And that's about the best gift you can give anybody. Well, I don't really know anybody in this room. I know Gail a little bit from talking to her on the phone, but you know, I don't know exactly what's going on in her life, and I know no one else in this state. So I don't really know much about anybody, right? So I think it's the only state in the union where I don't have cousins. I don't know why, but it's like a Rhode Island too small. Let's go on. Anyway, no. So I can't comment on your lives. I don't know what your everyday life is. I don't know what your financial, so I can't. But I can share with you things that have happened to me personally and how I've used humor to get through, or stories other people have been kind enough to share with me. Hoping you hear one thing here today that brings more joy into your life, that helps you to lead a more happy, productive, joy-filled life. And if that happens, it's worth our time here today. I want to say that the most difficult thing for me was losing my dad, and she mentioned my father in her prayer, which I appreciate so much. I just adored my dad. I think we're so fortunate when we have good parents, and we should really be thanking Jesus for that every minute of every day when you really have good parents, because they're priceless. And my dad was a joy. He was a salesman. He sold pots and pans. That's what he did for a living. He went to people's houses, he put on dinner parties, and he sold cookware. The thing of it is, he was the #1 salesperson in the nation for this company, Permanent Stainless Steel Corporation. I think he was so good at it because he truly cared about people. And no matter what you do in your life, if you really care about people, you're going to be successful. If you're in it for any other reason, I just don't think it works. But my dad, you could be in a store with Daddy and people would recognize him wherever you were. Hey, Frankie, how you doing? And my father would be, hey, Joe, how are you? How's your wife, Mabel? And is your kid still going to school up at Kilbuskill or whatever? He knew everything about these people. We'd get in the car and I'd say, who was that, Daddy? He said, don't you remember? I sold them a small set of cookware about 8 years ago. They live up on the hill over behind the thing. They had a white picket fence. They had all those cats. I mean, he knew everything. I'm like, how could he remember all that? Because he took a genuine interest in other people. That's a Dale Carnegie rule. But it's such an important one, to really care about other people. And I think that's why he was so successful year after year after year. But the most amazing part of the story is that my father was a 100% disabled veteran. He did a lot of his selling from a wheelchair, which is why I had to go with him on these dinner parties, and I would bring all the cookware in and set it all up on the stove, cook the meal, serve the meal, do the dishes, clean it all up, and he would sit in the living room or the dining room and talk to the people about the benefits of his cookware. And he was so good at it, and he was so successful at it. And I learned so much from Daddy. He said, if you ever grow up and decide you want to work, choose something you can do where you can see how what you do affects other people in a positive way, and focus on that, not on the work you're doing. And I think that's so true, that we have many people in here and they're all doing different jobs. It really doesn't matter what your job is. Well, I had a woman say, well, I work in a factory and I make, let's say widgets, I don't know. I can't remember what she said she made. She said, how could I possibly find joy in that? And I said, why do you work? And she said, why do I work? Because I got 4 kids. I said, oh. So are you putting food on the table? Yep. Oh, are you saving for their college? Yep. Okay, well, every time you make another widget, you think of those 4 kids and the future that you're building for them. That's the end result. So whatever it is you're doing, think about the people that you are affecting in your life, and work is really a joy. Well, when my father passed away, we were devastated. He lived to be 85, he had a beautiful life, but he just, he was such a wonderful, positive man that when that light went out, it was just a disaster for us. And my father, I don't know if I mentioned, he also was crippled with rheumatoid arthritis, really bad. You never heard the man complain about a thing. And I got the rheumatoid arthritis from my dad. He gave my sister the house. I'm not upset, I'm just saying. Oh, golly. So when he passed away, we were devastated. He died in September. That holiday, we all went to my mother's for the holiday, and we decided we were going to have the same holiday we've always had. We were going to put up the tree, have all the decorations, and be joyful, because that's what Daddy would want. But we walked in with a different attitude. We walked in, hey, Mom, Merry Christmas. We're all in our best clothes. We got this beautiful food. We all helped to prepare. Nobody was really eating. My one sister was crying. She does that for a living. And we thought, Daddy is up on a cloud somewhere having a glass of wine with his cronies, and he's thinking, I thought you'd have fun down there. You act like a bunch of stupidoons. What's wrong with you? So I got every member of my family a $1 red sponge clown nose. And I said, nobody can come in unless you wear this nose. I had a big bowl and all the noses. And it was mandatory. You can't come in unless you wear the nose. I want you to picture the most hateful person in your family, the one that never cracks a smile, that's always got problems, and they're sitting at the table, at your dining room table for a holiday going, how long we gotta wear these things, You just laugh. You laugh. It's funny. No one ever believes me. I have a picture of the family. I know you can't see it, but this is a ploy to get you to come to my book table afterwards so you can see the family. But my one sister in there, this is how she laughs. It could be hysterical. She goes like this. You don't hear nothing. Aunt Frances is over in the corner. I need a battery. What's going on? I said, honey, laugh from down here. When you laugh out loud, 16 major organs, and you're not that one, sir. 16 major organs in your body are positively affected every single time you laugh out loud. I want you to just hold on to your tummies and laugh and understand how that is. It really makes you feel great. Do it again. How many people took the laughter class last night? Was that not a hoot and a half? Oh my gosh, what great sports you are. Give yourselves a round of applause. That was great, a lot of fun. But the whole idea was that when you laugh, it makes you feel better. And here's the thing, I have a lot of clients, corporate clients, who have laughter class before work, where people come in 15 minutes earlier, or they just start the day with this laughter class where they just all stand around in a room and laugh. Even if there's nothing to laugh about. Eventually you start laughing at the people laughing, and then you can't stop laughing. You gotta have a bell to stop you. Okay, 15 minutes is up, go to work. And it's been proven that people work better together, and life is just so much easier when you start with a good laugh. Well, when my father passed away, it was just the hardest thing for us. But I want to tell you, wearing the clown noses, we wore them all through dinner, we wore them all through singing Christmas carols, opening up the presents. My mother made us take them off to go to midnight mass. But other than that, we had them on, and it changed the way we felt. It did not take away from the fact that my father was gone. We're never going to see him again. Our hearts are broken. But it helped us get through that moment. And now it's up to my sisters. We take turns. Everybody picks something funny to bring to the party. One time it was those big shoes. Everybody wore those big floppy shoes. We were all falling down, and then we kept saying, Aunt Frances, I'm falling and I can't get up. And it was just, everybody was laughing, you know. It's all about the laughter that makes you bond together as a group and really be joyful in your life. And somehow it's easier to get through the difficulties that happens in life, which is part of life. So how you look has everything to do with how you feel. And we want you to make sure that you pay attention to the way that you look. Next time you go to the grocery store, I want you to pay attention to other people. Look at their faces and try to figure out what they're thinking. Sometimes it's like, are you kidding me? That you can't be that unhappy. You know what I mean? You're buying strawberries, smile. You know what I mean? They're buying X-Lax, then you know why. Somebody write that down. I just made it up. It's good. Well, what causes us stress in our life? Anybody? What causes stress? Drugs? Oh. Jobs? Okay, I can't hear. What causes stress? There's so much that causes stress. Money, men, try not having one. A lot of things. What causes me stress the most is travel. Now, I go to a different city pretty much every week, and I usually fly where I'm going. And that's not the part of the travel that bothers me, because I've learned how to handle it. You got to go early in the morning, you got to bring enough to read, and you just can't be stressed out about it because you have no control over it. You get there when you get there. What I don't like, and I'm so grateful to Gail because she had somebody pick me up at the airport, I don't like it when they say, can you rent a car and drive to the fabulous resort? Because I always get lost. I can't stand it. I don't like driving other people's cars, and I certainly don't like driving when I don't know where I'm going. So the driving part is what gets me. So I've learned to bring my humor tools with me wherever I go. And if I'm in the car and I'm stuck in a traffic jam or something, this happened to me. My daughter used to live in New York City, and my brother lives in New Jersey. So if I was booked in that area of the country, sometimes I'll rent a car and I'll go down and see my brother, stay with my daughter a day or so. Ever been on the Garden State Parkway in New Jersey when there's an accident? You know what I'm talking about. You're there forever, and everybody's got to look at the accident. What are they, all surgeons? Move on, you know what I mean? They all got to look. That's why we're so backed up. So we're sitting there in the car, and I'm like, oh, you know, I even get stressed out because I'm not doing anything. And I've been taught, you know, you got to be accomplishing 4 things your entire life or you're not good enough, you know. So I'm sitting here, I got the books on tape, I'm filing my nails, everything. And and I'm not going anywhere. I'm like, oh. And I notice everybody around me is just as miserable. So I thought, I'll fix them. So now I'm on the Garden State Parkway, and I got a mission. My job is to get everybody around me to just smile. In New Jersey, this is what they do. Oh, God. Another clown on the highway. So if they won't give me a smile, I give them one of mine. Hey! And I keep this on until I get everybody around me to just notice. It's a traffic jam. It's not the end of the world, right? And you can see the stress disappear in the people around me in the car. And honestly, it's like a magic. They go, okay, I see, you're a clown, you know. But their shoulders relax, they're more relaxed. The tense stress is gone. And I'll be 20, 30 miles down the road, people are waving, I think. And so, we've heard this before, I'm gonna repeat it because it's really important. Stress is not an event. It is a reaction based on our perception of the event, and perceptions can be changed. Do you believe that? I do too. I don't think it's so easy to change your perception. Because my perception might be entirely different than yours. Because of what? Experience, exactly. How many people in here have dogs? Sure, you're gonna go home, you're gonna be licking each other and everything's fine. I was bitten by a dog when I was 5. You will not catch me close to a dog. I'm afraid of dogs. Been afraid of dogs for over 50 years, right? So, this has been a real, because my perception of dogs is fear, blood, teeth, tetanus, the doctor, my mother going, what'd you have to touch the dog for? You know, all these things. It's negative, negative, negative. So your perception of dogs is unconditional love and all that jazz. So we have a different perception. Okay. In order to understand the story, you gotta know I have 2 kids, Aubrey and Johnny. You people behind the poles, move up. If you can't see me, I feel bad. Move over. Somebody give these people a nice seat where they can see behind the pole. I got Aubrey and Johnny. I brought these kids up in the same house with the same rules at the same time. I don't know how they turned out entirely different. You go to visit Aubrey when she was in Manhattan, she's got it all organized for you. She's got a car waiting at the airport. She's got dinner reservations, theater tickets. It's all organized. Bang, bang, boom. Oh my gosh, you don't even have to think. Then you go visit John out in Arizona. He forgets to pick you up at the airport. Was that today? Johnny's a backpack wearing, raising, eating, save the world, hug a tree, kiss a mule kind of kid. I don't know what he's doing out there, right? John is a minimalist, so he has nothing. He's an environmentalist, so when I go there, I can't have nothing. Honestly, he lives in a hut in the middle of the desert, no air conditioning, he's got a swamp fan. I don't know what it is, but it does not work. But it's better for the environment. And everything he has, you know, he thinks about everything before he buys. Oh, that's in the wrong container, don't buy this, bop, bop, bop. It drives you crazy. But he's saving the earth. So if he does need something like a piece of furniture, he finds a dead tree, drags it home, he carves it up. Look, Mom, I made a couch. No, you didn't. So, and talk about, he does go to this hippy-dippy love store if he needs like soap and stuff, and he buys this soap that doesn't suds up. So he's got this laundry detergent that doesn't make any suds. Everything he's got is kind of a dingy gray. And he doesn't use a dryer. That's really bad for the environment. He hangs everything on a tree to dry. Have you ever slept on a sheet that was dried on a tree? You'll cut your face. And you don't want to use his towels, talk about exfoliation. You know, skin is flying, it's ridiculous. So whenever I go to Johnny's, I go there, I love my son, you know, I want to spend time with him, but I got to bring all my suitcase with my towels, my sheets, my pillowcase, all that, because I'm a little spoiled, right? Johnny tells me he rescued a dog. Now, at first, I said, oh, God bless you, nice, because he's always doing something nice like that, you know? So I thought some dog was up a tree and he climbed up there and let it out. Means he now has this stinking, drippy, hairy, toothed beast in his hut with him forever. He rescued it, meaning he got it at the pound or whatever. And it's not a little tiny pocketbook dog, you know. It's a big yellow lab, drippy horse dog. So I called my daughter immediately and I said, Aubrey, what am I gonna do? This kid went and got a dog. There's no way I'm staying in that hut with a dog. I draw the line. How about if I say next month when I come to visit, I'll treat Parker, the dog, to a nice, you know, dog spa. They can do his nails and give him a bath and, you know, fluff him up. He can have a sitz bath, whatever they do to dogs. I'll pay. He said, she goes, Ma, you can't do that. Parker is your grandson. Then she said, you know, why don't you do what you tell people to do when you do your little skits? Why don't you change your perception of dogs? She's right. I can't stand here and talk with you about changing the way you look at life or the way you perceive certain situations if I'm afraid of dogs. So I thought, well, that's great. I'm just going to get my book, do all the exercises. I'll change the way I think about dogs. It'll change my life, and I'll be able to use it as a great example. It'll be great. So I went and I wrote positive affirmation. I love dogs. Dogs are great. It took me forever to get a whole page of stuff. I read it every morning, every night before I went to bed. I had pictures of dogs all over my house. I rented the movies, Rin Tin Tin, Lassie, Old Yeller. I read the books about the dogs. I had a big picture of Parker with his teeth showing right on my computer every morning. Oh, God, here it is. I'm ready to go meet my grandson. I even went to the store and bought him a little outfit, you know. I get to Arizona. I walk out of that little airport, and there's Johnny in his piece of junk car, no air conditioning, and that big stinking dog in the back seat. I don't even know how I can do that. Soon as I opened the door, the dog came to say hello, and I'm like, that's it, I can't deal with this. You know, I thought I had it licked, but I don't. So I said, Johnny, I'll meet you at the hut. I'm going to take a taxi. He goes, Ma, there's no taxis. Get in the car. He said, I figured it out. I got it all under control. I know you're afraid of the teeth. I'm like, what'd you do, pull the teeth out? She said, no. He said, no, well, just get in the car. He points to this big dog in the back seat. He goes, Parker, no lick. That dog sat in the back seat all the way to the hut with his mouth shut. Johnny taught the dog whenever he's around me, he's got to keep his mouth shut. If I knew how to do that when the kids were little. Right? I felt bad for that dog, you know, in the back seat all the way to the hut in that hot car. We get to the hut. He jumps out. My son, not the dog. No. Gasping for air. And Johnny, God bless him, he really tries to let me have a good time when I'm there. I mean, he really honestly does. He works very hard to try to make me have a nice time. He made me a beautiful meal with nuts and fruit and twigs. And then we talked about the world, you know, he's got to tell me all these special things I should be doing and how to throw this out and all this recycling and make it that, And he really has taught me a lot. I have compost in my backyard now, and you know, a lot of good things he did teach me. Some of the stuff went way over my head. I just go, he's so smart. And after dinner, we went to bed on the futon he made. And the next morning I get up, you know, and I can't wait to have my coffee in the morning. And so I went out, into the kitchen, and I made a cup of organic coffee. And I'm sitting on the rocking chair on the front porch overlooking the desert that Johnny made this rocking chair for me. And I'm trying to have my quiet time, you know, and there's that big stinking dog with a bowl of water and hair and flies and nastiness, and he's dripping all in it, and he's looking at me. I said, don't even think about it. You ain't coming over here. That ain't happening. That dog walked halfway to me and shut his mouth. Johnny was still sleeping. I mean, that's training, right? He comes over, sits right next to me, looks up at me with the most beautiful brown eyes I've ever seen. And I've dated Italian men. I I so wanted to pet that dog. And I'm so proud of myself, I got up the nerve and I did. Okay. Right. I want you to know that after the week I was there with Johnny and the dog, Parker was absolutely my grandson. And I totally fell in love with him. The thing of it is, I changed the experience. All my life I had been afraid of dogs for over 50 years. But this one week with this beautiful, gentle dog who did nothing but love me, never threatened me in any way, changed my experience with dogs and changed my life. Now, I know this is a big surprise. Johnny, my son, is a musician, so he's pretty much broke. And Johnny is a very good musician. He plays 11 instruments, and he wrote the score to a ballet that is done on stilts. I don't know that for sure, but I've seen the show. The music is great. Well, he got the opportunity to travel on the Hippy Dippy Love Bus with this group all over the Southwest and direct the orchestra because he wrote the music for these people as they went around and did their dance. And he said, Mom, this is a wonderful opportunity for me. You never know who I'm going to see and who's going to hear my music. I'd really like to do this, but I can't take Parker on the bus with me. Can you take Parker back to New York with you? I said, John, honey, you know, I love the dog, but try to find somebody else. If you can't find anybody else to take Parker, of course I'll take him. I don't want you to miss out. You never want to say that to your kids? Because that's the last time they try looking for anybody else. They got you, why should they look, right? So I had Parker with me in New York one summer for the entire summer. I fell in love with this dog. What a sweetheart. I mean, a big dog looks like a horse, but it's just, she's so sweet. It's a he, actually. So sweet and loving. Everywhere I went, I felt so safe with this dog. He slept at the foot of my bed. A little sound would be in the house. His ears would perk up. I never felt so safe. It was just amazing how I bonded with this dog. And my son, I know, right? Slip of the tongue. My son comes home from his tour expecting to take this dog back with him to Arizona. I said, John, you can't take this dog. I'm in love with this dog. He said, Mom, Parker is like my son. I'm like, well, you're my son. I let you go. Grow up. I want you to know, it's a long story, I know, but it's such a good story because it's a true story, but it really shows you how you can change anything about yourself. I was afraid of, not only afraid of dogs, I was afraid of any kind of animal and some people. I mean, I lived such a little sheltered life. You know, I went to Catholic school, boarding school my whole life. It was really, and we never had animals. And so my sister had asthma, so we never had animals in the house. Some of my father's friends, you know. But so I just, and then I was bitten by this dog, so it really made me sort of live in a small box where I didn't get to enjoy anything when it came to animals. Now that I have gotten rid of this fear, it's amazing how I look at things so differently and how much bigger my life is now that I can enjoy all living things. Used to be I would see a squirrel and I'm like, they should just shoot them. They're just rats with tails. You know what I mean? I was so, now I got this little chipmunk that lives in I have a rock wall in my backyard. This little chipmunk lives, I can't wait for the chipmunk to come out in the spring. I start feeding him. We call him Chippy. Last summer, my grandson, who's 5 now, he and I wrote a book about Chippy, and we took all the pictures of Chippy. This bluebird came, this has nothing to do with it, but I gotta tell you. This bluebird, I put the food out for Chippy, and he was eating it. This big bluebird came, took away all his food, and so Chippy was all upset. He went back in his hole, and I went out, and I'm yelling at the bird, and my grandson said, Noni, we should teach that bird to share. Well, sure enough, we put more food out. Chippy comes out, he starts eating. We put some food on the top step for the bluebird, and we took all these pictures. So I got all these wonderful pictures for the book. And sure enough, they stood there together and ate, and my grandson taught me a nice lesson about sharing it. We got this beautiful little book, and I only made the book for my grandson, and I gave it to him for his birthday. And my daughter goes, "Ma, this is a great little book for kids. You should publish this." So of course, now we're getting it published. It's going to be a great little children's book. But that would have never happened if I was afraid of dogs, because I would have been getting somebody to get that chipmunk out of my wall, right? I would have been hiring pest control because, but now I enjoy so much more in life because of that. And I think sometimes it takes a little kid to really make you, how many people have little kids in their lives? Grandkids, neighbors, your own children? Let me tell you, I was a single mom. When Aubrey was 18 months old and Johnny 6 months old, I became a single mom. And I was a single mom the rest of my life. And it was tough bringing these kids up by myself. So I don't think I really truly was able to enjoy them as much as I enjoy my grandchildren now, because I don't have the worries that were connected to that. So having grandchildren is so different. And I got to tell you this, we're mostly women. I'm going to say it in front of the men, I don't care. I took Jack, my little one, he's 3, to the Target store. He loves Target. And we had to go potty, so I went in the family Target store. This is how honest kids are. And so we're in the family bathroom, and I don't want them touching anything because I'm a little germy conscious. So I make the kids put their hands on their head when they're in the bathroom. So he's like this, watering the lilies. And after he was done, I said, "Now stand over here, Noni's got to go." So he's standing there like this, 3 years old. All of a sudden, he turns over and he looks at my fanny and he goes, "Wow, Noni, that is big." My daughter said, "You probably shocked him to death. He's never seen a real fanny, only his brother's is this big, That's the thing about kids, though. They're so honest. Hang around the kids in your life. They tell you. One time I fell down the stairs. This is when Joey was probably around 3. He's 5 now. But I fell down the stairs at my daughter's house. She's got the hardwood floor. And I fell down every step. I screamed bloody murder all the way down. I thought, oh, I'm going to break my hip. That's the end of me. I'm going in the hospital. And I'm screaming bloody murder all the way down. I get to the bottom. I'm about to start crying. And Joseph's at the top of the stairs. "Me go now, Noni, my turn." Somebody throw that kid down the stairs, please. It stopped me from crying and got me to laugh. That's the beauty of humor. That it can take you from a bad place where you're about ready to cry and move you into something that's much, much better. That's the whole idea about what my message is, that laughter and humor and joy it's a gift that we give one another to help us through the difficult times. I had a woman stop me after an event and she said, "My husband died and he was my best friend and I was so lost without him, and honestly I cried nonstop. I didn't know how to stop crying." And she said, "My sister-in-law said, you got to come with me. We're going on a vacation. I'm going to treat you." So they went to the Bahamas. And she said, while I was there, it was so great because I did stop crying. It was so beautiful. We had a wonderful time. The last day of the vacation, we're seated at this beautiful outdoor cafe, looking at the ocean. Everything was so gorgeous. The music was delightful. The food was delicious. And everyone in the room was having such a wonderful time. At that moment, she said, all I could think of is my husband would have loved this. And she said, I started crying and I couldn't stop. And it was the ugly cry. She said, people stopped talking, they stopped eating, they were all looking at our table and I felt terrible, but I couldn't stop crying. And just then the waiter came, put the check down, and my sister-in-law looked up at him and said, she does this every time the check comes. She said, I immediately started laughing and I couldn't stop. That is the positive power of humor. When it can take you from a moment of such deep sorrow and bring you to a place of joy in an instant without thinking about it. That's power. And that's what we need to be able to give to the people in our lives that need it the most. Well, there's so much that happens when we laugh out loud. I gave a whole list to the girls last night. But it's our level of cortisol in our body that is affected. Every single time we laugh out loud, we're fighting off infectious disease. Heart rate, your blood pressure, everything is affected by laughter. It's such a good thing for your health. It prevents burnout. It reduces problems in your life, helps you to solve problems, creates teamwork. It's such a great team builder, laughter is. But Stanford University said 20 seconds of good hard belly laughter is equal to 3 minutes of strenuous rowing. I was so happy. I'm an Italian girl. I like to eat. Exercise is not one of my favorite things, but eating is. So because I like to eat, I have to exercise, but I don't like it. How many people in here love to exercise? If you lie about that, you'll lie about anything. Watch. But they said 20 seconds of belly laughter is equal to 3 minutes of strenuous rowing. I was so happy. I make sure I get my laughter first thing every morning. I stand in front of a full-length mirror, stark naked. I just laugh and laugh. And the older I get, the easier it is, so most of you know what I'm talking about, right? Well, what happens if we don't find a way around our stress and worry? A lot of things happen, and stress and worry has been connected to so many bad things: insomnia, types of paralysis, nervous stomach ulcers, premature aging. All kinds of things happen when we're stressed out and worried. And I think the best thing you can do to counteract that is to find some joy in your life. Well, some people say, how can you find joy in your life when things aren't going your way, right? That's when you're the saddest, and sometimes it's hard to find something to laugh about. Honestly, I think you can train yourself to find the funny, because I've been doing this for 22 years now, but everywhere I go I see something funny. Sometimes it's inappropriate and I have to keep it to myself. But you're always going to find, there's funny stuff everywhere. I mean, I'm in a grocery store with one of my older grandson. He's 14. And we were in the paper aisle and we picked up a roll of toilet paper, and he turns, he goes, "Noni, look at this. It says made from recycled paper." I said, "Put that down." You know, but it makes you laugh. You can find something to laugh about wherever you go. And it's so good for you. Well, I want to leave you with some humor skills, some things that I think will help you in your life. And the first one is the ability just to see the absurdity in difficult situations. Nothing was more obvious than my mother went in for hip replacement surgery. Anybody ever have that? It's an important thing, you know. Hip replacement surgery is very important and serious. My mother's this beautiful Italian woman. When she was younger, I'm telling you, she looked like a movie star. Big black eyebrows, expressive like Sophia Loren, right? She got older, they turned gray, then they turned white, then they just fell out. So she puts them on like all Italian women. You've seen them at the mall with the black magic marker stuff. I'm like, "Mom, wash your face. You look, you know, you're scaring me with those eyes. You look like Sophia Loren." "No, you don't. You look like Boris Karloff. Wipe your face." She's on the stretcher going down for hip replacement surgery, no eyebrows. When a person has no eyebrows, you don't know which end is up. You're like, "Oh, Ma. Oh, Ma." She's going down to surgery to have that hip bone ripped out and a plastic hip put in. We're nervous, we're crying. And my father leans out the door and says, "Angela, don't forget to tell the doctor, save that bone for the dog." They don't have a dog. We're Italian people. We didn't want to eat at the house. What's that made out of? He got us to laugh. He got us to laugh at a time when we were all very concerned about Mom. And the nurses were laughing, the people taking her down to surgery were laughing. Even my mother, half sedated. "Ah, Frank, that's funny, you know." And we go into the waiting room, and I don't know about you guys, but when you're an Italian girl, wherever you go, you got food. I have food in my suitcase, just in case, you know, I need it. Wherever I go, I bring food. And so here we are at the hospital. All my aunts and drunkles were there, and they bring food wherever they go, you know. So we're in the waiting room. We got pasticciots, cannolis, we got sandwiches, all kinds of stuff, right? And we're going to go in there and have a little something while we're waiting on Mom. My sister follows us in. "You know, Dad, that was very disrespectful. You're cracking jokes. She could die on that table. I looked it up on the internet. They could leave a sponge in her. You don't know what they're doing in there. Do you know they play music? They don't even pay attention to what they're doing." You know, she's going on and on. My father looked at her, he goes, "Honey, what are you doing here? What?" He said, "Do you know every time you have a negative feeling or thought, you're passing off negative vibrations, and other people are feeling that and affected by it, even if they don't know what was said?" You ever walked into a room and you don't know what happened because everybody stops talking, but you're like, I don't know what's going on in there, but You feel, whatever it is you feel, if somebody's mad, angry, stressed out, worried, whatever, you feel that vibration from them. He said, we don't want to bring those kinds of feelings into the hospital. That's not good for your mother, the doctors, the nurses, or anybody else. He said, let's just do what we have control over and lift the rest of it up. What great advice that was from an old man who never even finished school. You know, he used to say, I never went past the fifth grade. I didn't want to embarrass my father. He was in the sixth. But he must have, because he was in the service. But anyway, I know he didn't have a big education, but what a smart man he was. He was able to, you know, think things out and give such realistic, usable advice to us girls. And I appreciate that, and I try to learn from that and pass it on to my kids as well. But honestly, it's amazing the things that you can learn from people in your life. So pay attention to people who have lived a long while and have something to share with you that you may learn from them in many ways that you don't think you can. Well, we went in, we said a few prayers, we ate our sandwiches, Mom was fine. Talking about finding difficult situations and finding the absurdity in it and moving forward. When we had to buy a casket for my father, anybody ever done that? Oh, it's horrible. Well, as I said, we're an Italian family. Wherever we go, the whole entire family goes. We have like 20, 30 people. We're a mob. We're all going to pick out this casket. And we're dressed in black from head to toe, because when you're Italian, that's the law. Here we are. My mother's in the middle with a black lace tablecloth over her head. We're just a black cloud going across. We're never going to laugh again. Life is never going to be the same. And the guy's got my father's suit jacket trying to match it to the lining of the casket. This looks good. What do you think? We're like, oh, really? Talk about absurd. And he goes, it was like a used car lot for caskets. This one over here is made of brass handles. That one there is made of oak. This one's going to last a lifetime. He points to the ugliest casket in the room, the cheapest one. He goes, that one over there is made of solid stainless steel. My mother goes, oh my God, that's the one we want for Frankie. She talks like that because she was born in Pennsylvania. Is it the one we want for Frankie? He was in pots and pans his whole life. He was retired for 30 years. Who's thinking about pots and pans? Only my mother, right? So after we laughed about it and all that, she said, don't be telling people we put him in a cheap box, because I don't want your father to be scustamari, turn over in his grave, you know. So she says, you tell the truth. You're going to tell the story, tell the truth. So my mother's never going to come here. You're never going to meet her. But somehow she always knows. So I got to tell the truth. We didn't put him in the cheap casket. We spent a fortune on this oak cabinet with the Last Supper all carved out and all the saints, right? So we're sitting at the funeral. We're all dressed in black suits. My mother gave us a little warning. I don't want nobody to cry like a cavoon. You got to be like a lady, all right? Then no cry. Your father, you want to be respected. You know, act like a cavoon. So, all right, so we can't cry. We're at this funeral. They're going to bury my father. She doesn't want us to cry. But I want to respect my mother. So I'm in the front row with all my sisters, and they're about to close the casket. That's a hard moment, because you think, I'm never going to see that face. Oh, dear Lord, please let me remember that face, that beautiful smile. And so it's a very emotional moment. And as they're closing the casket, I'm about to cry, and I'm a loud crier. Surprise! And so I don't want to upset my mother, so I'm thinking I got to think of something else so I don't cry. So I say to my sister Donna, who is one of the funniest people I know, she's had diabetes since she was 5. She takes insulin every day, had a lot of health issues. She lost her eyesight from the diabetes. She's had operations. She sees nothing out of one eye and a little bit out of the other, like Mr. Magoo. And you never hear her complain. And she has her own jewelry company. It's weird looking, but she's blind, you know. And I said, you'll sell more, sell it online. I can't see it either.com. She didn't think that was funny, but I think it's a good idea. Anyway, she's funny is what I'm trying to tell you. So here she is, and I say to her, hey, Donna, I go, I'm trying to like change my mind about things. So I said, I can't believe we spent so much money on that stupid box. She goes, oh, honey, Daddy loved people. He loved food. He's going to heaven, seated at the table with all the saints and all the food. I'm like, right. She goes, did you ever wonder what happened that day? What day? The day of the Last Supper. Did you ever wonder? What are you talking about? I don't know. You think Jesus stood up and said, hey, anybody wants to be in the picture? Get on this side of the table. She heard the joke and thought it was a good time to tell it. And it was a good time to tell it. But unfortunately, you know how when you're over 50, actually now I'm 60, I know this problem really well. You know how when you're not supposed to laugh and you can't stop laughing, what happens? Had a little accident right there in the church. Yeah. We had to stop the whole ceremony. My mother was all upset. You gotta make a mess, big problem every time. What's the matter with you? You make a me where it depends, you know. But the funny thing is, he's been gone now since 1995. Every time we talk about Daddy's funeral, somebody brings it up. Remember when you peed your pants in the church? My grandson wasn't even born when that happened, and he knows about it because after dinner we always talk, you know, and he'll say, hey, Noni, tell about the time you peed your pants. I mean, for Christmas, I got all kinds of Depends and things like that. My one sister made Christmas ornaments out of diapers, you know. Whatever, right? Whatever it takes to get through it. The ability to take yourself lightly while you take your work seriously. Now, I know some of you are nurses. That's certainly something where you have to be serious, know what you're doing. But I think especially in a position like that where you have such high stress, you have to learn to be able to laugh at the simple things in life. And by the way, when my dad was in the hospital, he was in the hospital for 4 months, and we knew he was never coming home. And that was hard for us. He had stroke. He had a couple strokes. He couldn't speak. None of his bodily functions were working right, except his smile. And he was just happy to the moment he conked out. It was amazing how he was. But it was funny because all the family would come, dressed in black already with the rosaries. Oh, in nominis Padre. And we're like, he's not dead yet. Wait, you know. I would come in. I came in one time dressed as a gypsy. You're going to meet a great man. He thought it was funny, right? I had a big picture of Jim Carrey on the wall. My mother said, take that picture down. Your father's going to die. You're making a joke. I'm like, well, but he's not dead yet. Everybody's different, and everybody grieves their own way. For me, I had to find something funny in order to get me through that moment. And I know everybody is different, and God bless those that can sit there and you know, wipe their brow and adjust stuff. I could never do that. It's not in me to do that. My thing was to just try to find a little bit of joy. And I think my father appreciated that. I have to say, there's so many times my father made me laugh, and what a great guy he was, even though, oh, this is so obscene, but is it okay? Listen, he was funny. Well, one time my mother sent him to the store. This was before he gave up his license. He couldn't talk. He had you know, his stroke. So we would say, Dad, do you want coffee or tea? And he would go tea, and we'd know it was tea. You know, it was an either or thing with Daddy. So, and he never got frustrated. God bless him. So she sends him to the store. He goes to the store. He pulls up to the store. Because of his rheumatoid arthritis, he can't get out of the car. So he sees these women going by. I have never told this in public. He sees this women going by, going to the store in the middle of the day, and he goes, now he's 85. He goes, hey, 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 hey. He wanted them to open the door. But now picture this old man in an old Cadillac, and he's going like this. Hey, 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 hey. And he's smiling because he's a nice man. Well, clearly all the women were running in the store. Pretty soon somebody told the manager came up and said, zip it up and move it out, buddy. And my father went, ah! So he went home and he was all upset. He didn't understand what happened. So he gets in, my mother raises the garage door. Frank, where's the groceries? Ah! He could swear, so he did swear a little bit. So he gets in the house, he sits in the den, and he's watching TV, and he's mad as he could be all afternoon. So my sister Donna went over there, she She goes, "Ma, what's the matter with Daddy?" "I don't know. He went to the store. He came home with no groceries. I don't know what happened." So Donna goes in, "Daddy, did you get to the store?" Yeah. "Did you go in the store?" "No. Your hands hurt you? You couldn't get out of the car?" Yeah. He goes, hey. And Donna said, "Oh my God, Dad, they thought you were a pervert." Every time we walk in the den for the next 2 weeks, we'd walk in, "Hi, Daddy," he'd go, I mean, you can't write this stuff. Is this gonna be okay for TV? Okay. To have a disciplined sense of the joy in being alive. What a beautiful place we're in right now. But I gotta tell you, I go all over the country. You can find beauty wherever you go, in the smallest thing. I am so grateful for my life. I don't have a perfect life, nobody does. But I'm grateful for all that I have, and I try to see the positive. And I was at the mall one time, and I was with one of my sisters, and we ran into this lady that knew our family, and we hadn't seen her in a while, and she said, "Oh, how are you girls? Nice to see you, blah, blah, blah." And my sister proceeds to tell her, "Well, you know, we almost had our house paid off, and then my daughter went to college, that was the end of that, and so then, you know, and then she went and got married, so she's not even using the college degree, and we still haven't paid for the wedding." I mean, she's going on, and people are like, you know. And the woman was trying to change the subject. She said, "Are you still working for the doctor's office? They don't appreciate you over there." So, you know. Then the woman asked me, "How you doing?" I said, "You know, I recently moved back to Syracuse, and I'm so happy I did. My daughter got married. She lives a mile from me, and it's just such a joy. I bought a little cottage, and it's so cute. It's got the best garden. I have so much, I love it so much. I have so much joy in that garden. It's great to be near the family." She said, "How's business?" I said, "You know, I never advertise, and the Lord just keeps bringing me business. It's amazing how it works. 22 years, never spent a nickel on advertising. It just happens." And then I asked her about her. She tells me a few things, and we parted. My sister looks at me. She goes, "What are you so happy about?" I said, "What?" She goes, "I don't know why you always act like you're so damn happy." I said, "Well, my life isn't perfect, but I'm happy." She goes, "Well, I don't know how you could be. You say you love being with the family. You're never home with that stupid job you got. And you say you love being around your kids, but your son lives in California now. You never see him. And as far as I know, you haven't had a man in 35 years. That's why I'm happy." No. I'm kidding. I'm kidding, and I'm available. Oh my God. By the way, I saved this. I wanted to make it a surprise. How many of you would like to see me on The Chew? You know that television show, The Chew? Next month. I would too. Make sure you call them. Nobody got it. I said, "How many of you would like to see me on The Chew?" Yeah, I'll raise your hand. I said, "I would too. Make sure you call them." Yeah, the timing was off. Anyway, she got it. Here's the thing. One of my books has Italian recipes in it. The latter part of the book is 3 generations of my family's real good home-cooked meals, and we're trying to get on The Chew. So if you buy the book and you like the book, please call The Chew and let them know. Or Rachel Ray or any of those people. I want to tell you about a mini vacation, which is a great thing to do at home or at work or wherever. It's just a change of pace. My father used to give us a mini vacation every single week. We would get dressed in our best clothes, go to church as a family, and after church, we would have dinner in the dining room with the family, with a lace tablecloth and candles and crystal, and my mother would make a beautiful meal. And we sat around that table for hours, just talking to one another and enjoying our meal. And sometimes the aunts and uncles would come and the cousins, and sometimes it would just be our family. But we always ate dinner in the dining room on Sunday. It was a tradition. And the thing of it is, it was something I looked forward to as a kid. It was something I could count on, that I would be with my family laughing all day on Sunday. And we never asked if we could go anywhere, because he'd look at you like you were crazy. "Oh, Patsy, no, go no place, you know. We're going to be with the family." And after dinner, we would go for a ride. We'd all pile in that car. I was telling the people we had a station wagon, and I would sit in the back, the way back, waiting, waiting for a truck to come, and we just had so much fun. And Daddy would pull up in a driveway, and we'd pull into where we saw people sitting on their porch, strangers, and Daddy would beep the horn, and we'd wait to hang out the windows and go, "We're here!" And the people would go, "Who the heck is that?" And as soon as they got this close to the car, we'd back out of the driveway, hightail it down the road, laughing. We thought it was so funny. My mother was in the front seat. "You're going to go to jail. You teach the kids to be stunads. That's no good." He wasn't teaching us to be stupid. He was teaching us to laugh together as a family. What a beautiful thing that was. I want to tell you that my father's been gone for a long time, but whenever I think of him, I close my eyes, I see his face, I see that beautiful smile, I hear the laughter, I can even smell his cigar. It's such a beautiful gift he gave me, that memory of him happy. When you go home today, I want you to think about yourself and think, if this were my last day on earth, what would the people in my life think about me when they close their eyes? And if it doesn't come from a place of joy, maybe you make some difference in your life. Change some things so that they will think of you in a better way. Because I got to tell you, I'm 60 years old, and I'm very proud to be 60 because my life has changed. When I was younger, I was working 4 jobs at one time to put bread and butter on the table. I wouldn't take any kind of help from anybody. Stupid, Anyway, it was hard, and I was totally stressed out. If I died in my 20s, this is what my kids would remember when they closed their eyes. I said no! Because that's all I ever did, right? That's all I ever did was yell and scream. I'm so glad to live to my age so they know now that I'm not crazy. Well, that I'm nice, So I want you to think about that because it really is an important thing. I've been thinking a lot lately about, what kind of legacy am I leaving to the people that I leave behind. And I think it's important that I don't care how much money you have. It's not about the houses. It's not about the furniture or, the money in the bank. It's really more about what did you leave them about life? What kind of nugget will they be saying to their grandchildren? My mother used to say this about that, That's the kind of thing that's really important in life. To find a way to say, boy, my mother had this, this, and this, but I never heard her complain. I strive to be more like my dad where I don't complain. And I do have the rheumatoid arthritis. It does hurt me sometimes. I don't want to get out of bed, But I force myself. Sometimes if I'm having a bad flare-up, I'll wear bedroom slippers at the podium. I don't care. And I make a jok about it. I can't, and nobody says, can you believe she wore her bedroom slippers? Or maybe they do. They don't tell me. But I think it's about making the best of any situation. It's not about having a perfect life. It's about having a joy-filled life. And you can have that no matter where you live, no matter what you've got or don't have, and no matter who you're with. The last one is to have a joy list. If you don't have a joy list, we've heard it before, gratitude list, start one. It's about being grateful for what you have. Usually I pray in my car. I get in my car and I get in the car, I don't turn the radio on, I take the phone off, and I just say, thank you, Lord. Thank you for a car that works. Because I have a new car now. Every couple of years I get a new car, and I'm very happy about that and grateful because it's always going to start. Used to be a time I had a Carmen Ghia Volkswagen. I paid $400. When you went through a puddle, your back of your legs got wet. That was a really rough car. I never knew if that thing was going to start or not, right? I used to have to tie it to a tree. It's really... No, I'm kidding. But I want to say that we take for granted some of the things in our life. But life gets so much better when you start to be grateful for what you do have. I would love to have a wonderful man to share my life with. It's not in the cards for me right now because I don't know why God has other things for me to do. But I know he's getting them ready. Don't bring a lot of clothes. There's no room in the closet. So be grateful for what you have. I want to read a little short poem. It was written by Edwin Markham. It says, there is a destiny that makes us brothers and sisters. No one goes this way alone. All that we send into the lives of others comes back into our own. Don't